Well, if you've ever walked down Castlereagh Street in the heart of this city, you've probably passed one of our most enduring institutions when it comes to luxury retail, J Farren-Price. It's a name that's synonymous with prestige watches, exquisite jewellery. Can you believe they've been there over 8 decades? The story is a great Sydney business story, and that's part of doing this OB today. This hotel is a great story. The buildings around us are great stories, and the businesses that occupy them are great stories. And the story of J Farren-Price began back in 1942. The founder, John Farren-Price, he opened the watch business after being discharged from the war. And against a backdrop of what was economic hardship at the start, he set about acquiring agencies for pretty prestigious Swiss brands. By the 50s, the early 50s, he was an authorised agent for multiple prestigious Swiss watch brands, including Rolex and Tudor, even Longines, all of whom they still represent today. Well, the J Farren-Price name has continued. It's a different J now. It's Julian Farren-Price. He's the current managing director, second-generation owner, and he's with me here at the hotel. Lovely to meet you, Julian, and it's an incredible family story, this one.
Michael, thank you for having me on, and it's nice of you to bring 2GB so close to our salon in Castlereagh Street. It's been an incredible journey. I wish my dad was alive now to see what the business has become, which he started in 1942.
Take us back, through the stories that your father would have passed down back to 1942. So, we're in war. Your father's been discharged from service. The economy isn't one where you would naturally think people are buying Swiss watches. It's food stamps and that sort of thing, coupons at that time. So, what was it that he thought? I reckon there's a business opportunity at that time.
Well, his training was as a watchmaker. His brother had trained him, and he was an instrument maker in the war. And apart from that, he was an incredible entrepreneur. He had that spirit. And, we see a lot in this country of people who have risen from very humble beginnings to make empires. He had a gift for acquiring agencies, for networking with people. He got some of those brands that you mentioned, plus others. He was a great promoter. And he did some wonderful things, like getting a watch on the keel of a Sydney Hobart boat, and lo and behold, when it arrived a week later, it was still working. And you had sharks pulled up at the CYC Cruising Yacht Club, and they were cut open. There was a watch inside, and it was still working. He was quite and never let the truth get in the way of a good story, I think. But he was a great promoter.
Yeah, well, that's half the trick of business, isn't it? I mean, you mentioned he was a watchmaker. I assume that's in Australia a bit of a dying art. I would assume we just import a lot of the timepieces that we now wear. Is it more the old man's game now, watchmaking itself? No,
I wouldn't say that at all, actually. While we don't produce many watches in Australia, and I think there might be a company or two who do, there's still a requirement to service all these watches that are in the market. And so actually there's a lot of pressure on finding watchmakers who can repair watches so that they can keep going for decades and centuries.
Okay, the Swiss brands. So your father was acquiring the rights, to be the authorised agent. Not everyone can just go and sell Rolex, for example. How did he do that? I mean, again, 1942, it's not like he just got onto Google or had a Zoom meeting with Zurich and said, right, well, did he have to go to Switzerland? Did he have to meet and greet?
He told me many stories when I was young of how many times he travelled to Europe, how many world tours he'd done, as he would call them. And I think, his ability was to go and front these people. He had the experience from watchmaking. He had a personality, I think, that people trusted in, and therefore they, entrusted him with the agencies that they did.
Okay. I was talking by chance about watches and the more luxury timepieces the other day, because the market is still hot, that's my understanding. People paying big money. And I thought, well, why are they doing that? Because I've got a phone over here, you do. That'll tell you the time the moment you tap it. Up comes the time. Here's the computer, there's the time. People have these Apple watches and all sorts of things. They've got the time. Why do people go and spend thousands, and in some cases tens of thousands, on a sort of, I suppose you'd say, an old-fashioned timepiece when the digital world is all around us and so convenient?
I think that we moved to a very disposable society. There's not many things you can keep in life and pass down to your children. And I think as we've moved in that direction, people then start treasuring more craftsmanship and also things of value, lasting value, and things that you can passed down to your family. I think Patek Philippe in 1996 came out with the incredible line, "You don't own a Patek Philippe, you just look after it for the next generation." So it doesn't have a lot to do with timekeeping. There's certainly a place for the Apple watches, their tool watches that are, can tell you your fitness and your heartbeat and everything. But buying a prestige watch is not a lot to do with telling the time. It's about having something that makes you feel good, something of lasting quality, something you can pass down in the family.
Okay. Now, as far as the trends are concerned, I guess it's like fashion. Certain things come and go. What are people buying at the moment? What are they looking for in watches?
Well, I think the trend of having very big watches has now passed. There was, if you go back 5 years or so, people getting 45, 48 millimetre watches. They're almost like a clock on a strap.
Yeah.
That has come and gone. But what now we're seeing is the watchmakers continually focusing on improving the quality of their watches, the timekeeping in particular. I mean, they've been making wristwatches for over 100 years, and they're still working on perfecting them, like Rolex with their new Land Dweller, with the movement with 5 hertz, that is very, very stable timekeeping. So there's still a lot of work being done on movements, incredibly. Grubel Forsey with their nanotechnology now on watches, with the very small movement that uses very little power, so they can do some special things with that. And then there's also a trend for colour. We see a lot of colour now in watches. So you can look at Rolex with their Oyster Perpetuals in turquoise and pistachio dials, or their famous green colour, which is the colour of their organisation. Patek Philippe even is a very conservative firm. They're now doing watches with purple dials and azure blue dials, and so we're seeing a lot of colour.
Why the Swiss? What was it about the Swiss that, I mean, they've sort of cornered this market. You go to Geneva, for example, every second building's a watch manufacturer of some sort. So what was it about the Swiss that it was their domain, the watch?
Well, it's actually climate.
Really?
They were locked in their valleys during winter, and they needed an activity to do that they could be isolated and just work away and do while they're snowed in Jura Valley in Switzerland. So they gravitated towards watchmaking, and so it was a snowball. They became famous for that, and it just grew and grew and grew from there.
Who makes the best, can you say?
The best watches?
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to answer that, but let's just say that each of the brands have their own specialties, and they all make desirable product.
All right, now just back to the family story, because that's what this show's about, celebrating Sydney today. You're in the St James building from memory now. Always been there, or was there different headquarters over there?
Well, there has been. We've more or less been on that site for 80 years. We were in the 50s in the St James building that had a picture theatre there, actually, and it was knocked down in the 60s. Then it took a long time, about 8 years, to rebuild it, and we were offered a shop there in 1975, 50 years ago, and so we had a small boutique there, and we've grown and grown and grown, and we've stayed in that location ever since.
And it's a family business, and that's why it's good to celebrate it. Is it the case that as you and the Farren-Price family go down the generations and work in it, so too those that come and frequent you are the same surnames? You get a lot of repeat business down the generations? Yeah,
that's actually gold, to be honest. I mean, I've been there 36 years, and I'm dealing with clients still who were dealing with our company before I started, so 40-plus year history. And we love seeing that, but also then the next generation coming through, and maybe even the third generation coming through now. And that makes my heart sing to have clients of that long standing.
It's a wonderful thing that the business can deliver. Thank you for coming in. It's a great Australian story, great Sydney story. I'm glad we could share it with our listeners, Julian. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much.
Julian Farren-Price, the second generation owner, current managing director of the wonderful jewellery store, watch store just up the way here, J Farren-Price.